Well, this month, our Well-Read segment delves into books about relationships, and best-selling author Chantel Guertin is here with her picks. And I love the one that we're starting out with. It is a brand new book, although your copy here is so well worn, and that to me speaks of a well-loved book.
Oh my gosh, I loved this book. It's called Tom Lake by Ann Patchett. So I'm a huge fan of Ann Patchett.
I am too.
This is the story of a woman, and it's set in COVID. So her grown daughters come back to their cherry farm because it's COVID. So they're like picking cherries all day. And one of them says, "Tell us the story of Tom Lake." So Tom Lake is, imagine like a Stratford or a Niagara-on-the-Lake, where they have the summer theater. And I delved deeply into this. I think it's a fictionalized place, but set around, like it doesn't actually, but anyways, so she goes in, she was an actress, the mom, and she was in a production of Our Town.
Which is one of my favorite plays.
Yeah, so if you've ever seen it, you'll love that. And if you aren't, I think by the end, you'll like understand it a little bit.
Okay.
But it's a love story because there's a famous actor who she was acting with, but the mom is married to her husband. They are very happy. So it's sort of that idea of like, tell us about your youth. And it just felt like that perfect summer read because it's a little bit like they're picking cherries, she's going back in time. So it kind of goes back in time to tell like the mom's story.
I love that.
Yeah, it was so great.
Okay, our next one is Remarkably Bright Creatures.
Okay, this one, I was like, you hear the premise, so it is about an octopus that is in an aquarium, but the octopus is one of the narrators of the story, so you have to suspend your disbelief, but you do not have to for long because I read like the first sentence and I was already hooked. Like, this book is so good, and if you want to cry, whew, this is a good one. So it's an octopus and a relationship that the octopus has with this woman, not relationship, but like
a connection.
Yes, a connection that it has with a woman who her husband has just died, and there's a little bit of a mystery going on as well, and it takes place in the aquarium.
I've read a lot about this book, and I so want to read it. Yeah, because there's such fascinating creatures. Paris Daughter.
Okay, The Paris Daughter is a story of two best friends, and it's in Bois de Boulogne in France, and it's set in World War II, and there's a German invasion, and the one friend has a daughter, and she has to flee, and so she leaves her daughter in the care of her best friend. But then years pass, and she comes back, and she can't find them. So it's like, this one is also, you think, I was listening to a podcast of someone saying they were reading this book, another author, and saying like, she just picked it up and was like going to read a few pages, and like she just read 100 pages, like, and then the next day another 100 pages. Like, this is the same kind of book. Like, this is a page turner because you're just like, what is going to happen?
What's going to happen? And historical novels are having like such a moment right now.
They really are. I think that's so interesting, and especially I think people are traveling to Europe again, and like, so you actually, when you go there, you really can feel like nothing has changed. Like, you can go to the places, right, and see this. And she does World War II historical fiction very well.
Yeah,
so,
she does. She does. Okay, The Half Moon is our last book.
Okay, The Half Moon is a really interesting story. It takes place over a week, and it's a husband and wife. The husband has just bought the bar that he's always worked at, and it's like sort of his dream to own this bar. But in this week, a blizzard takes place, one of the patrons at the bar goes missing, and then the wife has her own story as well. It's a dual narrative, and it's one of those books that's like set in a small town, and all of the characters that come into play and how they're intertwined, and I really love that type of book. And also, this is a funny thing because it did come out recently, and but it's set in the winter, so it's always funny to read that because you're like, oh, but it feels like
it's
that.
Cooling.
Yeah, like, I was like, oh, it's not a summer read. Is that weird to read about snow in the summer? But no, once you're in it, you're not.
Because it will cool you off. So is it written from his perspective for half of the book, and hers the other half, or are they like chapter after chapter?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And yeah.
All right.
So you get both of their stories.
Oh, okay, 4 more to add to my to be read pile, which is going to topple and it's going to collapse. That's how I'm going to go. Chantel, thanks so much. Always great reads, and we'll get all of them, if you missed the titles, up on our website, chch.com/morninglive.